there, welcome to Subpar Stitches. My name is Hillary and this is my Flosstube channel. It's been 2 weeks since my last Flosstube, I'm pretty sure, and I have been stitching like crazy, like just a lot of smalls, as you can tell from the thumbnail and the title of this video. So I have a lot of finishes to show you and just a couple little whips. I also want to talk to you because I realized I never talked to you guys about like my state fair experience of like entering into the fair and all that. And I had a few comments asking me about that and I was like, oh, I should probably talk about that. So I'll talk more about that at the end. And I'll talk to you about my plans for the rest of this month because I got some fun stuff coming up and I'm kind of like doing this whole like themed thing this month. So let's start out with my finishes. Also, they are mowing, so there might be a few weird cuts and some noise in the background because they're never not mowing at this apartment complex, I swear. I don't know. Grass doesn't grow that fast, does it? I hate mowing the lawn, so I will never own a home for that reason. So, anyways, finishes. I'm going to start telling you guys to the start date and the finish date of my finishes for as long as I remember. So you guys can kind of see how fast or slow I am completing these. So first is the Mudeng Become Ungovernable, and this one is by Steph X Stitch. And I usually don't do like meme stitches or like anything that's like immediately topical because I feel like there's this certain pressure to get it done before the meme dies or like the topic kind of goes away. But this one, I could not resist. I love Mudeng. She's just a precious baby. And so I stitched this in the called for DMC, and this is on 18 count white Aida by DMC. I started this on September 22nd and I finished it on September 30th. And here she is in all of her glory. I kind of struggled with the eye because the eye is a lot of half stitches, and doing half stitches on 18 count with 2 strands was a little bit difficult, but I feel like I made it work. My hoop, even though it was like a plastic Nurge hoop, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but it did leave just a little bit, like it rubbed off some color onto the Aida. I'm gonna wash this and see if maybe I can get it out, but if not, it's not the end of the world. I'll just do like a tighter frame and then I am going to put this on my desk at work, give my desk a little bit of personality. I don't know. I like the shading in this. I thought it was really cute. But yeah, so that was like a little over a week of stitching on that. And I finished it right in time for October because my unofficial goal for October is to finish as many spooky smalls as I can because I'm just trying to like knock out some of these patterns that just kind of sit and rot in my pattern collection, and I'm like, I need to like stitch them, you know? So on October 1st, I started stitching the Adopt a Ghost, and this one is by Mama Witch X Stitch or Mama Witch Cross Stitch. I'm not really sure how you say it, but all of these patterns, like I said in previous videos, is I will link them all down below in the description box in the order that I mentioned them. And I stitched this on 18 count black Aida by Kato, and I started stitching it on October 1st, finished it on October 2nd. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen most of these by now, but here he is. He's got a little bit of the back stitch there and just very cute, very precious. One thing I will say about this is stitching with white is not my forte. I feel like stitching with white looks so much messier if you're not careful, if you're not railroading, and I was not. But it's just a little bitty guy, and I feel like I want to find like a cool, like ornate, tiny frame. I know you can get them, and I will put them in that. The Aida, this is, like I said, it's from Kato, and it, on camera, I think you could probably see the definition a little bit more, but in real life, when you're just looking at it, this is 18 count, and usually with 18 count, I can still see the holes, but the weave of this is interesting, and the way that it overlaps, it almost looks more like a really tightly woven basket, I guess, is the only way I can describe it. So it did make it a little difficult. I did have to get accustomed to it. but yeah, I just bought a huge cut of Kato Black Ada off of Amazon, and I've just been cutting whatever little squares I need out of it and stitching all these little guys. So I had bought, because Mama Witch Cross Stitch had like a big sale, and I bought this one before, but then I bought a bunch more of her patterns during that sale, and then I realized I haven't stitched a single one, so I was like, here's the month. So that was my first spooky small. As soon as I finished that, I was like, okay, time to start another one. So on October 2nd, I started the Quirky Quaker Candy Corn by Darling and Whimsy Designs. And for this one, I used Sulky because that's what's called for. And I stitched this on 28 count Milk and Honey Linen by Fiber on a Whim because I had some extra chunks left over and I felt like this would be a perfect way to use up some small amounts of it. And I finished this on October 3rd. So again, just another single day stitch. And for the Sulky, I didn't have the orange it called for, so I just subbed out a different Sulky orange I had. But here it is, and it just says Trick and Treat, and it's a candy corn. I love candy corns. I thought this was super cute. This is a free pattern from Darling and Whimsy. I have a couple of her Quirky Quakers in my pattern stash that I've been meaning to get to, and this was such a, like, super quick, easy to stitch. I like stitching with Sulky. It was really nice. And I just think he's so cute. I feel like I could make like a little like hexagonal shaped ornament. Did you see me having to count the sides of that? Don't tell anybody that I'm stupid. But yeah, I just thought he was really cute. I like him. And just a great way to use up a lot of my smaller scraps of stuff. So I finished that one on the 3rd, and then again I immediately started another one. This one is called Gabagool, and it is by Stitching with Zeal, and this is probably my favorite one that I've finished so far this month. And like I said, I started that one on the 3rd. That one took me a little bit longer, and I finished it on the 5th. I stitched it with 18 count White Ada by DMC. I have a bunch of it in my closet because the Walmart across the street from me has like these cuts of it, like the, you know, the rolls that you can get of cloth or what fabric, and they sell it for like a couple bucks a roll. So whenever I see it on the shelf, I buy all of it. I'm sorry if you live near me and you're in the market for White Ada. I buy it all every time I go into Walmart because I keep it in my stash because I can either use it for dyeing very easily because I like 18 count, or I can just stitch on white because white is such a easy color to use. So yeah, that is, I think, all I have to say about that. But here is the Gabagool, and I thought this was so funny. I bought this pattern a while ago because we were watching, Rob and I were watching something, and we got an ad on some streaming service, and it was one of the guys from The Sopranos, and he was dressed as like a ghoul, and he's like, I'm the Gabagool, and he was like teaching you how to sell, or teaching you how to make some food, I don't know. But we just both looked at each other and like screamed because it was so, we love The Sopranos. It's so funny that he's like, I'm the Gabagool in this like Italian American accent. And then I saw this on Etsy and I was like, that's an instant buy. And the reason this one took a little longer, despite not being that big, is like there's a lot of itty bitty color changes, but I love the detail on the meat at the top. You know, my back stitching isn't always the best, but I feel like it's still super duper cute. And I want to do a little hoop finish with this one. Again, I got some weird staining from my hoops. That one was from a wooden hoop. So this is another one I want to wash and see if I can get those hoop stains out. And then as soon as I finished the Gabagool, I was like, I'm still in the mood to stitch. And Rob was like doing his own thing in the other room. And so I was like, let me find a super small. And this one isn't necessarily spooky, but I feel like aliens still count. So this is by Arcady of Sorrows. This is directly on her Instagram. You can take a screenshot of it. And it's a free pattern. It's very small. I finished it in like one sitting. So I started on the 5th and I finished on the 5th. And this is, I guess I'd call it I Believe in Myself. The ring light is washing out the black and actually just all the colors. So I'll hold it back here. You can see it's really small. Has just a small handful of colors. I just thought it was cute. I thought maybe I could like make a little like hanger and then hang it from my rear view mirror in my car or something like that. And this is stitched on the 18 count black Kato with DMC. Just a super simple, quick pattern. Arcadia of Sorrows is probably one of my favorite. I think she's a newer designer. I could be wrong, but she's newer to me just in the past year, and she's definitely one of my favorites. She has some really, really funny patterns. One of the smalls that I want to do by her is it's like, it says, yeah, I got that dog in me, and it's a corn dog. So that's going to be one that I'll do, not in the spooky small season, but, you know, eventually. But she's a really good creative. On the 6th, I started Moo, I Mean Boo by Mama Witch Cross Stitch. And I stitched this in the called for DMC, and I stitched it on 32 count Paranormal Even Weave by Bestitch Me. And I thought it was like an interesting choice of fabric for this. And I don't know if you guys can see, it's got these like little like leaves back stitched, and she's got her little like PSL over here, and just so cute, little cow witch. And so there were some like itty bitty French knots that are supposed to be like with these wispy leaves here. I elected not to do that because I was just over it. I don't know. I just didn't feel like putting them in there. And I think it was cute. I'm not even averse to French knots. I was just like having a rough go of it at that point by the time I started finishing this. And I was just like, yeah, it doesn't need them. It'll be fine. Creative choice on my end. So, but I really like, I got like a fat, did I get a fat quarter of this fabric? And this is the first time I've used it, and I'm like, this is perfect for Halloween stuff. So I'm probably going to you'll probably see more of that in my next video. And then my last, and that one was by Mama Witch Cross Stitch. I don't know if I said that. And my last finish for the beginning of October so far is also by Mama Witch Cross Stitch. And this is Toilet Ghost. And I stitched this on 18 count Black Ada. I started it on the 8th and I finished it on the 9th. And just, this is another one of those like little ghosts. She has like a lot of these like itty bitty ghost patterns. And I don't know if you guys can tell from back here, but it's a ghost on the toilet on his phone. And there's like a roll of toilet paper over here. And you can kind of see the glow of the phone like lighting him up. And I stitched this and I sent a picture to my fiance and I was like, that's you. So, because he just like, he always goes in the bathroom and then he sends me like 10,000 memes. And I'm like, bro, just come out here and show me. Like, what are you doing? But I have a ton more. I have one of these that's like a pizza, like two ghosts eating pizza. I have a ghost who's like French with a baguette. There's like a ghost roasting a marshmallow. So I plan on doing as many of those as I can for this month. So those were all of my little finishes. I thought the stack would look bigger, but I forgot that, you know, fabric is thin. So let's go into my new start. So I have one new start, which I started yesterday. This is Lucy Beam's Tomato Witch, and I am stitching it in the called for DMC, and I'm stitching it on 28 count natural linen by Ginny Thompson, which I got this on the freebie table at StitchCon, and I just thought it would look kind of cute with this. It's still in the hoop because I'm gonna probably either finish it or almost finish it tonight. So here is what it looks like so far, and I like stitched the outline on the hat and the tomato because I wanted just some like easy mindless fill-in, but then the backdrop, I'm sure I put up the picture of what the completed pattern looks like. It has all this spider webbing around it, and that is going to be done in an étoile, and it's C318, so you can kind of see the sparkle there, but I thought that was cute. I like using specialty threads a lot. I think it's fun. I think it adds some texture and uniqueness to patterns, so I love when pattern makers themselves, when the designers themselves incorporate them and I don't have to like swap them out. But yeah, I feel like I can definitely finish all that fill-in tonight. I don't know if I'll finish all the spider webbing tonight because it is kind of like all over the place, so I'll have to actually count and pay attention. So maybe I'll do that part first because otherwise my brain will be fried. I had to like, last night I was like doing all the green and I had to rip out this part 3 times because I kept just making the same mistake over and over again. And I was like, Hillary, maybe you should just go to bed. But I was like, no, I'm determined to finish. But I did the Tomato Santa, and as soon as she dropped Tomato Witch, I was like, well, I have to have that one too. You can't break up a family of tomatoes. And then, of course, my last whip is my Year in Stitches, which I show you guys every time. This is essentially a stitch diary where I stitch 1 motif a day, maximum dimensions 20 by 20, and I will kind of try to slowly show you where it's at. But yeah, so I go through and I either make the motif myself, I get it from a variety of books that I have by Makoto Ozu. I have Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch, and now I have a book that's like frog and toad theme that has some little smalls. Or sometimes I source pixel art from online, or I've used parts of patterns as well. And at the end, I'm going to give you like a breakdown at the end of the year of like where I got everything, like the percentages and stuff. But for now, I just go through each motif and explain it to you. And it's kind of like a fun way to kind of like recap my life and give you like life updates without necessarily giving you a life update. So last I left off was on this little pear here. And that was for Chuseok. So then the next day, this is the Japanese symbol, like the hiragana for ho, which is the, it's kind of the logo for Hobonichi, which is my favorite planner company ever, and I buy them every year. And this is actually a Makoto Ozu pattern. He has like a whole hiragana alphabet in the back of one of his books. And I got my Hobonichi for 2025. I got my order in, and like getting your order is a big deal. It's a very big deal, okay? I love stationery. So there was that one. And then this is a little hand here, which I believe was pixel art. And that one is because all the skin, oh, it's doing it again. All the skin started like peeling off my hand and around my fingers, and I have no idea why. It's just sloughing off in droves, and I was like, all right, cool. Love that for me. This is a party popper, which is self-drafted, and I did that one because our internet went out at work, so we all got to go home early, and that's always a party. I love working from home. I don't want to be in the office. I want to be able to like roll around on my floor and do whatever I want, and I can't do that at work. They don't let you roll around on the floor at work. This is a hippo, and this is from the Makoto Ozu books, and that's just to represent, even though it's not a pygmy hippo, it's to represent that I'm obsessed with Mudeng. This is a duck, and that one I think is from the Makoto Ozu books. Let me consult my spreadsheet. Yeah, this is from Makoto Ozu books. So we went to the wedding of this guy that my fiance's been friends with since they were kids, and they were having a wedding on a farm, and like, I mean, you know, it's a farm, so there's animals everywhere, but like these ducks were just kind of like wandering everywhere, and this one just started like coming up, and I took a picture, so I'll pop it up here, but he just like came up our aisle and was just like staring at us like ducks do. And then during the vows, he like wandered up to the front in between the bride and the groom and just started quacking so loud. It was so funny. This is the nail emoji. I kind of like modified it. It was from pixel art, but that's because I broke one of my nails. So now I got these stupid little nubs, and that's always devastating. Cause like on my other channel, I get like paid to swatch stuff for brands. And so like I try to keep my nails long because I feel like that looks pretty cool and elegant and like kind of sets me apart from some of the other swatchers. So whenever I break a nail, I'm like, oh great, nobody's gonna want to send me their polishes. This is a little toolbox from Makoto Ozu, and that's because my favorite maintenance guy is leaving my apartment complex. He's such a nice guy. He always waves, says hi, like they drive around here on golf carts. And I remember one time I came home and I couldn't open my door and nobody was here, and like the like latch had like flipped somehow. And so he came and he broke it out and like got me in, and I was like, I don't understand how the latch flipped. Like, I was like, I wonder if somebody like broke in and is in there. And so he was like, stay right there. And he went through and he checked every room, opened all the closets, checked behind the shower curtains to clear my apartment to make sure it was safe before I entered. And so I was just like, he's such a good, nice guy. And so I was sad that he's leaving, but he got a promotion and he's going to work for another property for this company. So I'm happy for him, but I'm like, I'll miss you. Okay, this is a priest collar, and that is self-drafted, and that is because the priest cannot marry us because we picked a date that falls during Lent, and I wasn't thinking when I picked the date, and my fiance didn't say anything either, even though I'm like, bro, you're the one who's Catholic. Why didn't you say anything? So now we got to figure that out, which is a huge wrench, less than 6 months out from the wedding, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. This is my truck, and I believe that's a Makoto Ozu pattern, and that is because I finally got my truck detailed inside. So I've had my truck for like 3 or 4 years at this point. I don't know. I bought it from my dad in like 2020 or 2021. I can't remember. So I've had it for a little bit. My dad he was a tradesman, and so that was his work truck. And so it was very dirty just from like working. And I bought it from him and I just never cleaned it. So it was just very dirty for 3 to 4 years. And then I finally got it detailed, and I got in the car afterwards and I was like, oh, the floor is black? I thought it was gray because it was so covered in dirt that it had washed out the color. That was not a proud moment. This is a tomato, self-drafted, because I ate my second favorite tomato soup that day. My first is like this recipe that I found online, but my second is, it's like this roasted red pepper tomato soup that you can get in cartons at Costco. It's so good. This is a candle from Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch, because my candle day order from Bath and Body Works came in. This is a crown. I believe that was pixel art. Yeah, pixel art, because Rob and I went to the Renaissance Festival. We go every year, but this year we did not have fun. It's really gotten popular, which I know like that sounds like, it's popular now, but like that's not why I didn't have fun. It's so popular that there's like a lot more people there, but the infrastructure and like the process, the way that like they run it, hasn't really been updated to accommodate that many people. So like you're waiting hours in line just for food. So that really sucked. This is a little game piece, and that one is self-drafted. A new friend of mine that I made like online, who turns out she lives kind of close to me. She and her husband invited Rob and I over to play board games because they're big board game people. So we played, like obviously we didn't play like this kind of board game. They were like more, we played Ticket to Ride, which I'd never played, even though I know that's like a basic board game that everybody who plays board games plays. And then we played, it's this bird, I forgot the name of it. It's a cool bird game. It's like beautifully done. This is a chocolate chip cookie. This one was from Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch, but I actually just like shrank it way, way down. Because Rob went to Costco and he picked me up one of those double chunk chocolate chip cookies that the Costco guys yell about on their TikTok. They're so good. They're so good. This is a little ghost. He's from some pixel art I found online. I actually stitched him with the glow-in-the-dark DMC, and that's to mark the very first day of spooky season. That is October 1st. I'm actually all caught up on this for once in my life, and I've been maintaining it, so fingers crossed I can maintain it some more. This is an A, which I stitched in a toile because I got my invoice for weekend A of StitchCon. So I'm excited about that. And that was from just a pattern, I think, that I had, like an alphabet pattern that I keep on hand. This is a cop car, and it is from the Makoto Ozu books. And that's because Rob went to go visit my sister's fiance, and they live like a city or two over from us, and he was going to ask him to like be his best man in our wedding. So now my sister's my maid of honor, and her fiance is going to be the best man, and it'll be nice. Rob insists on backing into parking spots. Like, he thinks it's better. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think it's a waste of time and energy, but to each their own. He came out to his car after dinner, and there was a citation warning on his car because apparently in my sister's city, it's illegal to back into parking spaces in some areas. It was in like a parking lot. It was really weird, but yeah, that was weird. This is the WWE logo, vaguely. It's self-drafted, so it's not that good. But that's because I started watching Mr. McMahon I think it's on Netflix. It's the new-ish documentary about like WWE and Vince McMahon and like the history behind it. And it's so funny because like I've never really watched wrestling. WWE was very big where I grew up. Everybody loved it. Girls, boys, like I remember girls in high school carrying John Cena folders and notebooks and stuff like that. Like, very popular. I never got into it. And then in college, I found out about like Chris Benoit and like Owen Hart and like some of the stuff around that, you know, like some of the true crime aspect of things and just like the tragedies. And then I found out about Hulk Hogan and his interesting come up in the career, and I found out about Andre the Giant and just how prolific he was, and I got really, really interested in the background and like the history of WWE, and I learned about how like Vince McMahon like kind of skeevily created this wrestling empire. So it's like I've never watched WWE proper, but I love information about WWE. And so when I saw the documentary, I sat down, I started watching it, I got sucked in. So like, even if you don't care about wrestling or you don't know anything about wrestling, you might find it interesting because look, it's interesting. I feel like WWE it's got so much drama. There's so much crazy stuff behind the scenes. Like Hulk Hogan, I didn't know about this. Hulk Hogan like choked out, who's the guy from Law and Order SVU? Richard Belzer. Richard Belzer had like some kind of talk show a billion years ago. And like, he was like accusing them of like wrestling being fake or whatever. So Hulk Hogan was like, I'll show you. And he does this like front facing chokehold. And Richard Belzer, like, he like lets him go and he just like falls back and like slammed his head on the ground and just like bleeding everywhere. And then he sued the crap out of WWE. It's like, bro, leave the Hulkster alone. No, actually, I feel like isn't Hulk Hogan not the best guy though? But anyways, so I watched most of that, but then Rob came in and was like, oh, I want to watch this with you because he actually watched WWE growing up. And whenever Rob gets into a show that I'm watching, we never get to finish it because he's always like, oh, I'm not in the mood to watch it again. And I'm like, so I'm going to watch the last 2 episodes without him if he doesn't watch them with me this weekend. And then this is a banana that I got from the Makoto Ozu books. And that one is because I watched the Chimp Crazy documentary, which is over on HBO, I think. Like, just the exotic animal people. I'm always so fascinated. That one was really good. My sister recommended it to me. This is a little envelope, and it's from the Frog and Toad books, and that's because my parents and then my sister and her fiance came over, and we all kind of mapped out our final guest list because my sister's getting married a few months after me. Like, our weddings are pretty close together. So we're going to have, like, similar guest lists. So we were going over with my parents, like, you know, who do you guys want on the final guest list? And, like, you know, we're trying to decide that. And then we're going to have a joint wedding shower because they're so close together in time. We just thought it would make sense. And so we were going over the guest list for that, and we kind of finalized our invitation. This is a microwave from the Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch books. I did modify it a little bit. I had to like squeeze it in. And that's because Rob and I had actually technically it was an air fryer dinner, but it was like all of these air fried appetizers that we got from the store, like dumplings and stuff like that. Sometimes we just don't want to cook, so we just make air fryer dinner. So that's what we did. And then this is it's supposed to be like a can of Coke. And it was like a can of soup from the Makoto Ozu books. And I just took like the basic outline of it. And then I just changed the colors a little bit. And that's because I tried the new the new Coca-Cola from like the Oreo Coke. Have you guys seen that? It comes in like a black can. It looks kind of aesthetic. I hated it. It was disgusting. I took one sip and I was like, Rob, this one's for you. And he was like, okay. He drinks, I like make drink graveyards where I drink like half of a drink and then I'm like, it got warm and I don't want it anymore. And so then Rob just drinks the rest. I'm horrible. He enables me though, so I blame him. But yeah, so then I just have to stitch yesterday's. I'm always like one day back. So like today I'll stitch yesterday's, tomorrow I'll stitch today's, and so on and so forth. So I've already designed it and everything. So I'm sticking on track. I'm keeping up with this. I don't want to be caught at the end of the year needing to do like 40 dang motifs, but it's coming along. Oh, I did have another work in progress that I forgot about. It's at the bottom of the stack. Oops. So this one is from Faithwurks Designs, and it's the Quaker style Halloween sampler. It was in the Just Cross Stitch magazine from last year. And I'm stitching this on like a mystery even weave that I got from Bestitch Me. And it's like 46 count, so its progress is a lot slower going on this, but I do think it looks really cute. So here's where I was the last time. I'm kind of just working from left to right, and it's got like a bunch of itty bitty motifs, and then I'm looking forward to when I get to like the big house, because that'll be more like block stitching, so I won't have to like jump all over the place. But it's just in the hoop. But here is where it is now. I've been bringing it down to the bottom. I added this ghost needs some like knots for his eyes and mouth, but I'll do like any back stitching and French knots, or I think they call them colonial knots. I don't know if they're different, but I'll do all that at the end. And I'm not counting this as a stitchy small because I don't actually know how many stitches are in it, but it seems a little bit more intense than the smalls that I've been doing. So it's just one that I'm kind of working on and off as the month goes on. So those were my whips. I didn't have any really like interesting haul. As far as other crafts go, I already sent these out, but I did show you guys that I was working on a pair of socks for my brother's girlfriend for her birthday. And I sent them out on October 1st and her birthday was October 2nd. And I was like, I know they're not going to make it to her in time, but I like texted her and I was like, hey, I sent you a package. But I accidentally put my brother's name on it because it all autofilled and I wasn't paying attention. And then they arrived the next day on her birthday. And I know like they only live across the state, but like I was really surprised that they got there that fast. But here's what they look like. I posted them on my Ravelry and I thought they were really cute and she really liked them. So I was happy with that. And then I wanted to talk real quick about my state fair experience, which was back in the beginning of September. I just stabbed myself with a pin. So if you guys don't remember this, the reflection is there, but because I put the glass in, but this was my state fair piece. I stitched this in the Miss Seda Silks. This is Meditation Garden by Jan Hicks Creates, I believe. I think I always say Jan Hicks Designs, but I think it's Jan Hicks Creates. And I entered this into the fair with like literally no idea how it was going to work or anything like that. And I gotta say my overall experience with the state fair was pretty disappointing. So it was hard to figure out where to go to drop everything off. Things weren't very clear. And then when I called the number that it said to call, like if you had any questions, I like asked like, hey, you know, how does this work? What do I do? And the guy had no idea what I was talking about. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just figure it out. So I was able to drop off my piece, and then they gave me a little like button type badge to stick on my shirt when I came to the fair, because that would be my free entry into the fair. And then they gave me a ticket that had a QR code that matched a ticket that I would tape to this so that I could pick up my piece at the end. So I go to the fair with my fiance, and like the day before, we were actually going to go the day before. And then my parents were like interested in going with me. So we changed the day at the last second. And then the day that we were originally going to go, like 2 kids got shot and killed in the parking lot. I was like, oh, okay. They like were fighting with each other. I don't know. It was crazy. But so then we went the next day anyways, which I don't know. I don't know if that was a questionable decision or not, but We went because I really wanted to see my piece and I wanted to see all of everybody's work. And I knew when I dropped this off, I wasn't going to win first place for sure because there was a Mirabilia there. And I was like, all right, like that one's probably got it down pat. There wasn't a lot of entries. I think there was like 6 or 8 entries. And then there were like the way they displayed it was just like laid out on a table. And I don't know, maybe I just had a bigger expectations because I'm from a village and like really small town, and like the next city over is still like a lot of people consider us kind of like the town, the city itself, like very like Hicksville. And so I thought that like the state fair was going to be way better than the county fair that I grew up attending, and it definitely wasn't. Like the amount of animals they had at the state fair, it just wasn't like, they didn't have much. Where I grew up, we had 3 separate barns. Like 4-H was huge where I grew up. There was a pig barn, there was a cow and sheep barn, and then there was like a barn with like rabbits and chickens. There was like a separate birthing barn where you could go see like a pig that had just given birth, that had piglets. There was an area where you could like watch chickens hatch. Like there was a way more at where I was growing up. So like there wasn't much. And I didn't place at all, which is fine. I don't care if I win or lose. It was more the experience, but I didn't get any feedback. I don't know how they judged things. And when I went to go pick up my piece, I did run into the girl who was picking up her Mirabilia. She got 2nd place, and the 1st place was a long dog, which, like, don't get me wrong, I've done one. Like, they're labor intensive. There's a lot, but in my opinion, the Mirabilia should have won over the long dog because there was more technical skill involved. There was beading, there was a lot of like 1/1 or like petite point, you know, and back stitching, and the long dog was just cross stitch. And I was kind of talking to her and I was like, hey, like, you know, congrats on your win, or your, you know, 2nd place ribbon. I said, if it were me judging, you would have won. Like, and she said what I was thinking. And she was like, I think that they just judged them by size because the long dog was the biggest, hers was the 2nd biggest, and then the 3rd place was the 3rd biggest. So I think they just judged by like the size of the stitching, which I think is kind of like not a good criteria in my opinion. So I don't know. I don't think that I will enter into that fair again. The other thing too is when I went to go pick up my piece, they told me all you need to pick up your piece is the ticket that has your QR code on it. So I go pick up my piece and the security guard stops me from even entering the building. And he's like, where's your badge? And I was like, I have my ticket. This is what they told me I needed. And he goes, who's they? I'm like, the people who, I don't know their names. They just run the thing. Like the people who gave me this ticket are the ones who told me they needed it. And he was being really like, just shitty to me. Like, and I was being very polite and like, I know he had a long day and he even told me he had a long day. And first, it was my birthday too. I was like, why are you being rude to me on my birthday? And so I told him, I was like, hey, like, if you want to escort me back there, or like, if you want me to call somebody to see if I can like get them. And then like, I think he saw that I wasn't like being a jerk back. He was like, all right, I'll let you go back there. And I was like, thanks. Like, it'll take me less than 10 minutes to go get my piece. So I go to get my piece. Nobody is checking the tickets with the QR codes. You can just go in and take anything you wanted. Like, so I didn't like the safety of that. And then as I'm walking out, the security guard goes, see, that wasn't so hard, was it? And I wanted to punch him in the mouth so bad because I wanted to be like, you mother, you're the one who was making it hard. You're the one who was being rude. You're the one who came at me. And I said, no, sir, thank you for letting me go in because I didn't want to start a fight because I was mad. I was like, bro, what do you mean it wasn't that hard? You made it hard. I just, thinking about it now, I'm mad again. But yeah, I lost, and that's okay. So that was my state fair experience, and I will never do it again, at least not in Michigan. Oh, and just one more complaint about the state fair, because why not? So, you know how I told you they give you like a little like button badge, and that's how you get in for free, because like you pay to enter your stuff in the fair, and then you get free entry all weekend. And So I go up and like I'm like, okay, we're gonna buy one ticket for Rob here, and then I have my badge to get in for free. And the guy working the counter was like, no, you have to buy a ticket. And I was like, I don't think so. Like they told me this was free entry into the fair. And I even had like a sheet of paper that like said that it was. And he's like arguing with me about it. And I was like, well, can I talk to maybe somebody else? Maybe they know, because he was telling me it's the wrong badge. He was like saying that they're like these badges on lanyards are who get in for free. And I was like, well, not everybody gets those. That's for like the animal people. Anybody else got these like circular buttons. And he's like being real snooty to me too. And I'm like being so polite. That's the thing. I'm like so forcibly trying not to escalate, because all I ever want to do in my life is escalate and start screaming at somebody, because it feels so good in the moment. But then it doesn't feel good afterwards. So you're like, I try to keep everything very calm because I don't want things to get out of control and then I'm not even allowed to go in, right? And so I was like, no, like they told me, I'm pretty sure. And so finally he sees like I'm not backing down. So he calls his like supervisor over, and she's like, what's up? And he's like, she says she gets to get in for free with this. And the lady looks at me at the button, and then she looks at him and she goes, yeah, she's right. And the guy looked so pissed. And he was like, okay, enjoy the fair. And like, didn't even say like sorry or like, hey, I didn't know. Like he just was so rude. And I'm like, do I just have this face that needs to be bullied? Like, is that what's going on? I don't know. So yeah, I probably won't go back to the state fair. The Michigan State Fair sucks. That's my official review. So I guess that just leaves plans, which is just to continue working on Spooky Smalls. And so I'm gonna finish this either tonight or tomorrow, depending on, how I do. And then I got my next pattern. I'll print it out. I'll pop up a picture, but because this is just a pattern. But I'm gonna do, this is Trick or Sweep. And this one is from one of the Just Cross Stitch books. I think this one, I can't remember who this one's by. She does a lot of like the really cutesy pastel, bright color popping patterns. I will put the name on the screen. But yeah, I'm going to do that one. And then, I don't know. I've got a whole list of smalls that I want to try to get through before the end of October. I have Just Cross Stitch magazine from last year and this year, so there's plenty to work from. Plus, I have a ton of free ones. I have a ton that I just have saved, so I got a lot to do. My next video will be in 3 weeks rather than 2, because I'll be going to Stitch North in 2 weeks, I believe it is, and that's when I would usually film and post a video. So expect a 1 week delay in content. I know everybody's chomping at the bit for more of Hillary, right? But yeah, I will be going to Stitch North. I'll see if I can vlog some of it. But I'll be meeting the Hathaway Stitchers there, and Tara from Wild Woman Crafts will be there, and Chandria will be there, and there's other people who are going to be there whose names I've not remembering right now, because now I feel pressure to remember everybody's name and suddenly my brain has gone blank. But it's going to be fun. I'm really excited. Tara and I are going to share a hotel room, so I hope she doesn't hate me by the end of this. And yeah, that's going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoy your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.